Yes, this video is 1.5 years late, but today I'm going to be sharing with you Easton's labor and delivery story. So it all started back in 2015. So August 6th, I had my 39-week OB checkup appointment. I was 39 weeks one day at that appointment. They measured my belly, listened to the heartbeat. My doctor predicted that I would have a 6.5 to 7 pound baby based on my belly, and said that I was 4 centimeters dilated and 90% effaced. So he said I was pretty much ready to go at any time. Labor could happen whenever. So at that appointment, since I was already so far dilated and kind of so far progressed, they gave me the option to schedule a elective induction. So basically what that is you're not having issues with your pregnancy, you're not overdue, there's not necessarily a major reason to induce, but it's basically just to give you the option so that if you would like to have your baby's birth more planned and you would like to go ahead and deliver them, you can do that. So I was given that option at the appointment, and I went back and forth. I wasn't sure. I was kind of nervous about it, but ultimately I decided to schedule that. So we scheduled it for actually the next morning for August 7th, and I was supposed to go into the hospital at 7 a.m. So we left the doctor's office, and then we had so much to do because we're like, oh my gosh, we have less than 24 hours before we're going to the hospital and we're going to have this baby. So it was crazy. I called my employer, talked to my boss, and then we went to Target, and I believe we also went to Walmart just to buy a few little things that we still needed since he was going to be coming so soon. And that was after dinner. So for dinner, we went out and we ate pita pit. I just had a vegetarian pita, very, very spicy. I love spicy food, so I had like the jalapenos, the chipotle, the jalapeno ranch, or whatever they call it, all that stuff, super, super spicy. So we ate that. Then, of course, I was having my pregnancy cravings. I was craving Baskin Robbins, of course. So we went and got milkshakes. I got a s'mores milkshake. So I wasn't really eating light or healthy before the planned induction, which maybe wasn't the best idea, but what are you going to do? So after we ate, we went over to Target to buy a few extra things, like I said. At Target, I really just wasn't feeling good. I was kind of achy, felt sick, just felt kind of lightheaded. Like I just felt like I needed to lay down. Like when you just know you don't feel well, but you can't pinpoint what's wrong, but you just feel disgusting and sick and you just need to rest. That's how I felt. So we finished at Target and we went home, and I sat down, laid down for a little bit, and my husband was cleaning like crazy. We were like, we're gonna clean, we're gonna take the dog to boarding, we're gonna get everything set up so that we're totally ready for baby. So we were in like mega ultra cleaning mode. So he's over there cleaning the kitchen, and I was sitting in the living room, which was right next to the kitchen, just on the couch, like laid out, completely laid out. I just felt awful. I laid there for I don't know how long, maybe like half an hour or an hour, and then I was like, okay, no matter how I feel, I still gotta get up, get moving, I gotta help clean. So I went in, I scrubbed the bathroom, I scrubbed the bathtub, did the floors, did all the counters, everything. It was like deep cleaning, seriously. Like about as deep clean as you can clean, we did. We were wiping everything with bleach wipes. We just got it totally as clean as possible because we didn't want to bring a baby into a dirty environment. So we were up cleaning till probably, I'm gonna say 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, at which point my husband jumped in the shower. I did a couple extra little things while he was in the shower, and then he got out of the shower, and he went to bed because he's like, if we're gonna have to be up at 5:30 or 6 o'clock to be at the hospital by 7, I'm going to sleep. So he went to bed, and then I hopped in the shower. I still wasn't feeling great, but the warm water felt so good. It was so relaxing, so that made me feel a little bit better. Then I got out of the shower, put some hair product in, blow dried my hair, and then by this time, we're talking about 11:30, 11:45 at night. I went and I laid down in bed. I laid down for probably 2 to 3 minutes, and then I started getting this a dull, achy pelvic pain. I would compare it to like period cramps, and I thought, well, maybe I just overdid it, who knows. So I kept laying in bed, And then I got super uncomfortable. So it was no longer like a dull cramp. It was like, oh my gosh, I have to get up. And I felt like I had to go to the bathroom. I felt like I was having some digestive issues. I went to the bathroom and it didn't help me feel any better. I still felt like I had to use the bathroom. So I was just sitting there. I was sat on the toilet just sitting there for I don't even know how long. It was a long time. And then the pain started to feel like it was coming and going. So I was kind of wondering, could this be contractions? I knew it didn't feel like the Braxton Hicks I had because I'd been having those since like 24 weeks. So I knew what those felt like, obviously. I was like, no, I don't think it's contractions. I was like, I don't know what it is. So I got out of the bathroom, went to the living room and sat on the couch again. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just try to curl up and go to sleep. I don't know why I didn't go back to the bed, but I guess just because I couldn't get comfortable. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go lay on the couch. So I laid down, tried putting a blanket over me. And again, that strong pain came back. I was like, oh my gosh, like I do not feel good. I tried a bunch of different positions. I tried kneeling. I tried curling up in a ball. I tried all sorts of things and it was like not helping. So I had an app at the time, the Baby Bump app, which I had used throughout my whole pregnancy, and it has a contraction timer. So I turned that on and I was timing the contractions. I was like, well, let's just see, if this is anything, like I think these are contractions, I'm not sure, but let's time them. And they were super inconsistent. The actual contraction, the pain was lasting about a minute to 2 minutes at a time, but it was super inconsistent. So it'd be like 2 minutes between a contraction, and then 8 minutes between a contraction, and then 3 minutes, and then 5 minutes, and just all over the map. So it never got that consistency that they tell you about. So I'd done birthing classes and they said when you have minute-long contractions that are 5 minutes apart, you need to come in. If they're not consistent, you don't need to come in. So I was like, okay, maybe this is early labor, maybe not. I'm going to the hospital in the morning anyway, so I'm just going to try to stick it out. I was so uncomfortable. I was walking around the house. I was leaning on the counter. I was trying everything to relieve this pain and I just couldn't make it go away. It was awful. I felt like I had to go to the bathroom again, so I went back into the bathroom. This has been a little while later now. We're talking like 2:30 in the morning. And when I went to use the bathroom again, TMI, I noticed some blood. Obviously vaginal bleeding blood. And so I got kind of nervous and I was like, okay, what is this? I don't know what's going on. I gotta go wake up my husband because he had been asleep this entire time. I never woke him up. I never said anything. I was just, trying to get through it. So I went to go wake him up. So I go in there, I tell him, I'm bleeding, you need to get up, I think we need to go to the hospital, I don't know what's going on, I'm scared, I'm nervous, and I'm in severe pain. At this point, the pain was like a 9 out of 10 on the pain scale. It was horrible. So he's like, okay, he started grabbing the bags we had packed, starts packing up the vehicle, getting everything ready. He was like, okay, we need to go. Then I start feeling like nauseous from the pain. So I go in the bathroom, I throw up. It was the worst thing ever. Like all the spiciness, all the jalapenos, everything is coming back up with it. My throat is burning. So now I'm puking. I'm in severe pain. It's just awful. So we grab the bags, we get in the car, and we drive to the hospital. Now, at this point, I was feeling like I had to push. Like I felt like I had to poop. For lack of a better term, I felt horrible. I could not sit down. Like when I sat, it just was terrible. I could not do it. I couldn't do a sitting or squatting position. So while we drove into the hospital, I was kneeling on the floor. I was facing backwards, so I was facing towards the back of the seat, and I was kneeling on the floor, holding onto the seat, not buckled in, nothing. He's hauling butt into the hospital, driving in, as reasonably fast as he can. And we arrived there probably 3:40-ish. And I waddle in, I'm half waddling, half trying to run into the hospital. I tell them I think I'm in labor. I tell them my name, and then they take me straight into the labor room. They didn't even take me to the triage room, nothing. They just took me straight into the labor and delivery room. And they give me a gown. They're like, we need you to undress, change, put the gown on, and then we'll come back in. So I put the gown on, and I'm sitting there. I'm in severe pain. I have tears at this point. I'm just like curled up. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So they come back in. I'm like, I need something for pain. I need something. You have to do something for me. And so she's like, okay, well, lay back. I'm going to check you. And so she checks me and she's like, I can't feel your cervix. All I'm feeling is a bulging bag of water. So I think you're completely dilated. I'm like, oh my gosh. So she leaves, calls my doctor, and comes back in. And then she tells me he wants us to do some practice pushes. So I'm like, what? Like, oh my gosh. I'm like freaking out at this point because I thought maybe I'd be like 6 or 8 centimeters dilated because everyone tells you, like, birthing class and all my friends and family and everybody tells you when you have your first baby, your labor is going to be so long, so super long. And here I am, like a few hours into it, and they're telling me I'm fully dilated. We're going to practice pushing. I'm like, what? And here I am I'm still begging for pain meds. I'm like, I need an epidural. I need something. I'm in severe pain. So, everybody just kind of ignores me. Nobody tells me no. Nobody tells me yes. They're like, okay, well, we're calling your doctor, and they leave. And I'm like, what the heck? I still need pain meds. And another doctor comes in, starts asking me questions like, oh, when did the contraction start? This, that. I'm like, I'm so out of it at this point. I'm not even answering. My husband is answering the questions, and I'm just like, I'm laying in the bed, hunched over the side of the bed, gripping onto the side rails on the hospital bed for life, and like my stomach hurts so bad. They have the monitor on, and just, it was terrible. So they come back in, they have me do like, I think 2 practice pushes, and then they leave again, and they're like, we're gonna call the doctor. So I'm like, okay. Still waiting for my pain meds at this point. I got the IV in my arm, and then I come back in, and they tell me my doctor's on my way. He'll be there in a couple minutes. And they give me they're like, well, we can give you some IV pain meds. And they gave me Dilaudid. So they gave me like, I forget how much. It was like 0.1 milligram or 1 milligram, or I don't know. But they gave me that, and it didn't really help at all. I still was having like severe pain in my stomach. So my doctor walks in a couple minutes later, checks me again, and is like, yeah, you're fully dilated. We're going to push, and I'm going to break your water right now. Because at this point, my water still hadn't broken. So they had me put my feet up in the stirrups, and then they break my water. And after they broke my water, the pain, like the contraction pain in my stomach that was horrible, got better. I don't know whether it was breaking my water that relieved pressure and made me feel better, or whether the IV pain med was kicking in. I'm not really sure, but I got a little bit of relief from that. So I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. Like, seriously, I needed it so bad. Just before I broke the water, my doctor was like, oh, you can give her another 0.1 milligram or 1 milligram or whatever of the Dilaudid. And so they gave me a little bit more, then he broke my water, and then my belly started to feel better. So I don't know which it was. I'm guessing it was breaking my water, because it was like they broke it, I felt it like come out, which I know sounds gross, but then it was like instantly the pressure in my stomach was so much better. Then they tell me, you know, we're going to push, we're going to count, and you're going to push like as long as you can during the contraction, and then when the contraction stops, let up on the pushing, and then wait for the next contraction and push again. So like, it's just like you see on TV, you push and they're like 1, 2, 3, they count to 10, and you're supposed to push the entire time, and then you let up, wait for the next contraction, push again. I pushed for about half an hour, and then he was born. I will say, like, it wasn't that much pain. The worst pain of labor was contractions. Everyone had told me before, like, pushing's terrible, it's awful. I did feel that ring of fire, like the burning when he came out, but it was nothing nearly as bad as the contractions. It also was painful because I had to get like 4 or 6 stitches because I tore. And that was bad because they numbed me up with the lidocaine, and lidocaine obviously feels like a bee sting. So a bee sting down there after you've had a baby is terrible. And I didn't feel like I was totally numb, because when they were stitching one part of it, I could feel it. It was like a sharp pain. It was terrible. So that part was not good. But other than that, for not getting the epidural that I wanted, I felt like it wasn't too bad. I mean, I feel like if I did it over again, that I would try to go for a natural labor, just because if I didn't have a choice on meds anyway, and it wasn't that bad. Like, I feel like I would want to do it and that I could do it. He was born at 5:27 a.m., so I never made it to my induction appointment at 7 a.m., which is funny that he came on that exact day because I was so worried that by inducing him, I was making him be born before he was ready, and it was awful, and I was a terrible mom, and I shouldn't do it. And I went so back and forth, and it was such a conflict for me that I was so glad that he came on his own, because I'm like, okay, well, he was ready to be born, he came on his own. It was awesome. And he weighed 6 pounds and 13 ounces. So my doctor was right on at the appointment by saying he was 6.5 to 7 pounds. He was right in between that. So perfect. And he was 18 inches long. So he wasn't a huge baby. He was pretty small, which didn't shock me because I've always been small. I'm a small built person, so I didn't expect to have a gigantic baby. I'll just sum up here. I guess the biggest takeaway thing from this that I could give advice to other people, anybody watching this, is that just because you're having inconsistent contractions, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go in. I know in labor classes they say they need to be 5 minutes apart and 1 minute long, but for me, that never happened. Like, up until I pushed him out, my contractions were never consistent. They were always like different times apart. The intervals were never the same. So that's not for everybody. I would say if you're having painful contractions and you're having a lot of them and you're in severe pain, to just go in, because the timing, you can't go by that. And I think that was something that was so like cemented in my head. It was ingrained in there that I'm like, I don't want to go in. I don't want to be sent home. They're going to think I'm stupid because I don't have the 5 minute apart contractions. But that's not for everybody. Everyone's different. And, you don't necessarily fit every rule to every person. So I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for anybody who's watched this and watches my videos. And if you enjoy them, please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time. Bye.